Hi, my name is Will Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to do an update on the Vermibag Max. Now, it's been over 3 weeks since my last update. I did have some fruit fly issues in here. I'm hoping that the fact that I haven't added food in a while and that I was vacuuming them up, that it sort of subsided. We're going to open it up, we're going to take a look and see how it's doing. Hopefully, as I said, not much fruit flies, but we're going to also add food. I need to keep going through the food that I have. I'm starting to build up a little bit too much in reserve at this point with, going through fruits and veggies here in the house. So I need to get this bin working, and I'm just going to start continuing to add food to it, even if it has fruit flies, to try to get this to just start churning through that material. So that way I can get these worms going and get this bin up and fully functioning. What I'm hoping is that eventually these fruit flies will sort of pitter out as I have a base of castings over the top. The cardboard itself, that did not work in this bin. Typically I'd have dry cardboard on top, and usually that would sort of like make a barrier so I have to move through it. They seem to be doing it just fine with this one. So I'm gonna have to do something else to get rid of them. But for right now, let's go and take a look and let's get it fed and see how it's doing with fruit flies. Alright, here's the Vermibag. As I said, I did have some issues with fruit flies in here, so that we might have some fly out here from the sides. Let's just see. There's one right there already. We'll just see how many come out here. I do have the vacuum ready to go in case it's really bad. But a few came out, not too bad. Let me just move this over the back here. We still have our little trap in here. It does look like there's a ton of fruit flies in there. Very interesting. It looks like there's a ton of dead fruit flies on the top here, which is good. You know, it shows that this is this might be actually killing them. Let's just vacuum these up a little bit. Alright, there was a ton of them on the top of that this tarp here that were dead. We're going to tip this back over. As you can see, this is wet on the top. There's quite a bit of moisture, but that's really what I'm looking for in this system at this point. I'm going to move this off to the side. And let's take a look at the, you can see there's some seeds that popped up. That's quite alright. But we're just trying to get these worms to start really working through this system. And these seeds that popped up, that's fine, as I said. Just pull some of those out, dig them back into the system, and let them go from there. I'm not seeing any worms on the top. I thought there might be with how moist this is, but I'm not seeing any on the top. Paper still looks a little dry, but not too bad. We are seeing some good castings, though, in the area, which is a good sign. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to just sort of move all this stuff over to like one side like this. Make sure that's all on film here. Just kind of dig over here. All right, I'm seeing more fruit flies in this corner. And I'm still not seeing any worms. It's quite surprising. I thought I'd see some at this level. There are castings though, which is a good sign. So let's just keep digging here. I think we're finally down to the worm area, or where they at least should be. Still nothing, no sign of them in there. Oh, here we go. Here's our first worm that we're finding here. So let's just keep digging on this side. As I said, we're going to do a pretty large feeding this time, and it looks like there's a lot more moist than it was before. There's no powder coming up or anything like that, which is a good sign. But we're just going to kind of dig down in here, dig up some of this area. You can see this is, there we go. We're starting to see some more worms in here as we get to the coffee grounds. And hopefully we're going to see more and more as we dig in a little bit more. But the idea is to start mixing this in. Sorry if you hear the creaking of the wood structure supporting this, but I want to try to mix this in with this bedding material to really try to get this work through. So we're going to just bury this bedding material back over here, and now we'll dig right on this side over here. We'll come over here and dig. And as I said, we're just trying to move everything around. I'm really trying to get this system to sort of get those microbes growing on everything. I think that tarp is going to help a lot. Every time I see a fruit fly, I'm just trying to kill it before it gets out of here. But you can see this material looks pretty dry on the bottom, and that just means that it's going to need some help getting going here. So we're just going to continue to turn this every time we open it up. Really turn it around. Try to get all this stuff that was in the top underneath. And then we're going to load it with food, which is going to help. You can see there's worms here. They look pretty good. Put it in the camera there for you. So we're getting there with this bin. It's starting to look a little better. This is a pumpkin stem right here. Those last a long time in these systems. But we're going to get this working again. We will. But right now the key is just trying to get what we can functioning fully. So we're going to dig back down over here. And we're going to dump in a ton of food. All the food that I had last time, or whenever I last added it, it's all gone, it looks like. At least that's what I'm seeing. I saw maybe some coffee grounds in there. But I'm not seeing anything else. Lots of paper, though. As you know, there was a lot of paper that was in here for this bedding material. Let's just dig down right here. It's really hard to pull these out, but look at that. Nice rich castings down there. This is a bone. That's from a long time ago, but those eventually will break down. But like you can see, there's good food that's been eaten. And the worms are slowly working their way through everything in here, time and time again. So we need to get them some fresh food. So actually there's one of the worms right there, it looks like. I might have just crushed him a little bit. But what we need to do now is put in some food. So there's an avocado seed. And I have a ton. So let me bring this container over here. Because as I said, I'm beginning to run out of room in my freezer to store stuff, but this is banana peels, melon, all sorts of yummy food for worms. There we go. This is frozen, of course, as I always do. So we've got half a melon, we've got banana peels, we've got some, what is this, apple core, well, I'm thinking about it. Brussels sprouts, that's what I was thinking of. So this, so you can tell, is a large chunk. It's currently frozen. But we can get this to thaw out pretty quickly in here, I feel. I've always felt that these things thaw out pretty quickly. Break it apart. We've got some coffee grounds in here too. Those will probably take the longest out of everything in here. Oh, actually, it looks like there's something that should not be in here. This looks like a pit from a peach. Those will not go through the system. Although, you know what? Let's just leave them in there. Why not? I didn't think the mango seeds would make it through either. So we'll try it out. So lots of fruit. So we're going to leave this here, kind of put this a little bit towards the center. We're going to bury this underneath. Actually, one thing I forgot to add. Almost forgot. I wanted to add some of my crushed eggshell here. Let's just add a little bit of that to the top, although there's probably plenty of stuff in here. Just add a little bit of that. Well, there was one chunk that fell to the side. Although I think there's plenty of rock dust type stuff in here. I do like to add that into all my systems. Now let's bury this back in. Now, I'm going to add that tarp back on top here. And the reason why I want that on tarp is that's going to hold in this moisture. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of moisture to this. Try to saturate it a little bit more. So I'm going to grab actually water from a bucket. So I have a little bit more. This has has some of the BTI in it as well. So we're just going to kind of put that in like this. Actually, I'm just going to empty out the rest of this bucket. There's some of the BTI pellets on the top right there. That's fine. And then we're also, since I thought I had a little bit more water in there, I'm going to add the sprayer just to kind of spray everything down on the sides, get it to run a little bit. We pump this up. But we're going to try to get this, as I said, I'm trying to get this system really going and flowing, sort of how my urban worm bags go. And I know that this system can. I've had it before in the past where it was really just churning through food. But then after I did the Bokashi in here, it never seemed to fully recover. It's always seemed to have something off with it. And I've been trying not to just fully restart it. You know, which is one option is I empty it out and redo everything. But that takes a while. Once you restart something like this, you know, you've got, you know, you had 1,000 worms in here and all of a sudden you're going to basically zero. That can be a while before they recover. I think there's a lot of worms in the bottom, even though we didn't see too many of them. I still think that they're there. You know, I've had systems that look like they're empty, and then you add food like this, and then all of a sudden it's teeming with worms. They multiply pretty quickly when the system is right. and the conditions are good. So that's where we're going to add some more water to this. This is just going to be surface water, but with the cover on it, it's going to run down further into here. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm just trying to get some of this stuff off the sides as well. But what's going to happen is I poured in some water, and what's the evaporation of it is going to hit the tarp that we put on here, and then it's going to run back down into the system. So that's why we have this tarp on here. Without the tarp, what happens is it just sort of evaporates out, which I've had happen before, and it's great when the system's wet, but when it's dry like this, you really need this tarp on here to hold that moisture content in. Now, we're going to put this little guy back in here, so we're going to put our trap back in. I'm putting it, by the way, you should always put that on the opposite corner of where you fed, because this area is going to collapse down as they start eating through it, and it thaws out, and you don't want this to fall over and spill all over your bin. So I usually put it leaning towards that corner a little bit, and that way anything that gets in there, or if I put it leaning so that way if anything falls, it just falls over to the side, and it'll hopefully catch itself on the side before falling all the way over. So that's our update on the Vermibag Max here, and we'll see how this goes, and thank you for watching.